All right. Well, this week we're going to be working on descriptive writing, and you're going to have a few choices for this. But let's take a look at what the assignment says for assignment 5, the descriptive paragraph. And it says whether you live in a house, an apartment, a dorm, you're always going to have neighbors. So neighbors are certainly interesting people, and we don't generally get to choose neighbors like we do our friends. And like it or not, we have to live with them, or at least live side by side, or above or below, who knows. So in this assignment, you're going to tell us about a neighbor, someone maybe current or someone you've had as a neighbor in the past. So the very first step you want to do is think about where you live. Maybe it's the house across the street, the apartment next door, maybe it was your neighbor growing up. How many people live there? What time do they leave the house? When do they return? All of those little things that maybe you pay quite a bit of attention to. Now, we're not going to try to write about everything from our neighbors in a single paragraph, or all of the neighbors around us, but we want to go ahead and just pick either a single family or the household or an individual, and that person's or people are likely to be really, really friendly and fantastic, or maybe they're unpleasant or troublesome or obnoxious or helpful, something that makes them stand out. So again, we want to look at what's most interesting and remarkable about them. Now, you get to come up with who it is that you want to describe, and then start with that cluster or list that you can do on a separate sheet of paper, or if you want to create it electronically, you can. And from there, start to generate some of those ideas. What do you want to even think about using for this? And remember, everything that you list or cluster doesn't mean that you have to use it in the paragraph at all. And then based on that information, we're going to start working towards that rough draft. And in this case, you want to go ahead and create that topic sentence that identifies that neighbor and the focus based on that list or that cluster. So maybe it's something really that you have some really positive people who live next to you, or maybe somebody terrible who lives by you. You never know. And then focus around trying to get to about 8 to 10 sentences or so roughly for this draft. Now, because we're going to use this assignment for the descriptive paragraph, the formal assignment number 2, you really only need to get to rough draft on step 2. However, if you want to go ahead and prepare a much more complete MLA version of this, that's fine if you have the time. But keep in mind on Thursday, we're going to spend time in some small groups doing some work together and editing these papers. So again, at a minimum, what you want to have submitted by Thursday is step 2 of the rough draft into the file, and that way we'll have something to work with. Now, I did provide a sample for you in here, and this is all about neighbors, and we talk about the Browns and how lovely they are, and that they do great things for us, and that's fantastic. So this is one example of something positive. You know, honestly though, a lot of these paragraphs I see are negative experiences because, let's face it, we often remember those negative experiences for that. So please take a look at this, and then I'm also going to open up the directions for the descriptive paragraph. So if you really don't want to write about neighbors or a particular person, you do have some other options if you want to describe something else like a place, or maybe a thing in some cases. So I'll have those directions a little bit separately, and we'll talk a little bit more about it later. All right, take care.